Alright, old blue Accord. Well, it's going to give you guys the final, hopefully the final update on the radiator. Got her back installed, got most of the parts put back on. Got some plastic covers and stuff like that, but I need to run it and do the bleed the coolant and all that stuff. And I've done a video of that before. It's kind of tricky to do. I got to find my magic funnel to do that. But I do got the coolant pretty topped off. It was a bear. So what happened was I could not get the radiator up a certain part without getting into the high pressure line, the metal lines, the high pressure lines for the air conditioning. I really didn't want to unhook them because that kills the air conditioning. Now I didn't make a mistake and say that this was the 1, 2, 3, 4 refrigerant for the air conditioning. Actually, after I cleaned this sticker off, it says it's 134A. I'm actually a little surprised at that. So it's 2015, but that's good because I can kind of probably top it off if I need to, if I think I made a leak. But I probably would get it serviced actually if there's any problem with it. But I'm hoping that the air conditioner is going to be fine. Like I said, I just really try to push those metal lines out of the way. I'll grab the camera here in a second and go through everything. Yeah, you know, it's a rough job. I said it's probably one of the rougher ones I've done. There's nothing about troubleshooting on or anything. It's just fighting with plastic clips and tight fit and getting this plastic stuff off and out of the way and back on without breaking it. So the breaking part was, and I'm going to admit to this, I watched my own video and then I was editing my video and I thought about it and I said, well, there's no, you know, the old radiator's bad and these two parts are in my way. Why don't I just snap them off and, you know, I can go on from there, and that's what I did. I mean, and they were just absolutely brittle as glass. I mean, I didn't even use a wrench. I'll let you guys take a look. So that's the fill, and then these are these two brackets that hold down the air conditioned condenser. Basically, the condenser lays down on top of that. I just snapped them off. I mean, there's no sense in keeping them. It's an old radiator, so and bang, it came right out. So for me, that was the quickest way to do it. You know, hindsight being 2020, I probably should have just broke all the brackets out and pulled the thing out. It would have saved me probably an hour. Now going back in is probably the same thing, and what I'll do is I'll go ahead and do the handheld. So I'm putting the old radiator back in there. I did end up breaking this bracket off. I really just pushed down on it a little bit as I was trying to drop the condenser, and it pretty much just snapped off. And it just goes to show you that you really can't. It's not a bad construction. You just, this type of plastic, you can't be pushing on it at all. Now, obviously, the other stuff I snapped off was 10 years old, and it was brittle as glass, so that's how long these are going to last. So I'm hopeful, and what I'm thinking of, and I'll show you on the old radiator, because this is the bracket right here that I broke. I'm pretty hopeful that this parting line right here, and then it goes, see if we can see it right there, is not fluid. And now probably what I'll do is I'll do a supplement video where I'll drill in here and just look around and see. But I think this is fluid with the fins. Yeah, that's a good shot there with the fins, and this is just the bracket. And so as I push down on this, and yeah, I was using a tool, but I mean, I just pushed like maybe about that hard, and bango, it just snapped right off. I kind of thought I almost thought about getting a new radiator because I thought that shouldn't have done that. But in the end, the condenser has to come down and actually has to go over and in when you're got everything put together, and it's just an absolute bear. So that's what happens. But there's the parts that I'll show you on the bottom where I snapped the fill. I think that's the right end. Let me see here. No, what's on the other side? Sorry about that. This whole thing looks the same to me. So yeah, down on the bottom, there was the fill, and it just, I mean, and it just came right off, and there was a little bracket with it. So, and then I was able to get all that pass, because you can see how these brackets stick out, and that's basically for the fan. Now, I thought about putting the fan on and dropping everything in together, but this radiator is absolutely light as a feather. The fan is quite heavy. That motor in there makes it quite heavy, and I think it's the best to put the radiator in there first and then drop the fan down in there, and that's what I did, and then get everything in there. So the only other tips, really, you know, like I said, I put a little dielectric grease on any connector I took off. I did actually clean this ground wire. It didn't look too good while I was in there. I kind of cleaned up a couple things. When I'm bleeding the coolant, or actually when I'm filling the coolant, I fill it very slowly. I only put a little in at a time, and then I do something else, and I come back, and then I left this open. That way any air, because it's the highest point, it'll be hard to kind of tell. Sometimes I mess with this sensor too, but this doesn't have a bleeder. I think the trucks on this housing have a bleeder someplace where the highest point, just like bleeding brakes, the highest point you can bleed air out. But in this case, I just use this, and I leave it open until coolant dribbles out, and then I hold my thumb on there and pour more in, and I slip this hose back on. That'll kind of get you started. The thermostat's in here, but it still needs a good bleed. Don't try to skip that step. You're gonna have to put a funnel, just like I did in the video, put a funnel here sealed full of water, so when the thermostat opens, it can't suck air back in, because it will, and as soon as it sucks air back in, it is not going to cool. You're going to overheat very, very quickly, like in just a few minutes. So take that seriously. Other than that, only other tips I had for this radiator support, I probably should have made a pen mark or some kind of mark right here, because this can slide around quite a bit, and even though you have the rubber mounts, the hole in there is gigantic. You can have everything in it, and even when you do have that, everything moves around. It's not solidly mounted, and it can't be, because, you know, you can see everything moving. You can't have it solidly mounted because it's an aluminum radiator. It'll bust. So you can peek down through there, but getting this back on, I should have made some marks, because that dictates where your striker for your hood. I mean, even though you're bolted here, you're bolted to this piece of metal, and if that's over a little bit, I'm curious to see if the hood's actually going to work. So we'll find out. We'll find out. It should, you know, it should. But I kind of didn't really tighten these bolts up. They're snug, but they're not. And that way, if I need to slide everything over to get the hood to shut right, I can do that. I'm kind of sure that's going to be probably a little bit of adjustment. Put the intake back on. Like I said, dielectric grease on all my connections. Still got some plastic stuff to go on there. That's probably about it. Now the Jeep's been down a couple weeks, so let's see what the battery is. I still do the battery voltage check all the time. Yeah, 12.5. That's great. So an electronic vehicle sitting for 3 weeks. We're rocking and rolling. A bunch of people say you can't. You know, I hear it every day. I get on car forums. I hear it every day. You have to start them every week. You have to start them every 5 days. You can't let them sit more than 2 days in a row, blah, blah, blah. Well, here we are 3 weeks. Everything's good. Now, the key fob is in the house, so it's not going to wake up any of the modules or anything like that. And that's probably where your power loss is. But, yeah, other than that, like I said, I got to go ahead and bleed the coolant. That's the next thing. Let her run. And we should be good to go. The only other things, let's see, I went ahead and used the Ford Chrysler American Vehicle antifreeze, because it's really confusing what antifreeze to use. They've got like 7 different kinds now. But it's good for 150,000 miles. I did put some water in first just to check where I had snapped that bracket off. I wanted to make sure that wasn't, you know, that I didn't just break the radiator. So hopefully that's going to work out good. I'll let you guys know. That's totally on me. A little too much pressure, and you know, a bad kind of setup too. So, but yeah. So that's the coolant. Obviously the tools of destruction, like 5 different kinds of 10mm wrenches and ratchets. The fine ratchet is really pretty nice, because if if you can hear the, well, if I can do it one-handed, if you can hear the mechanism, yeah, it's not going to go. You need a nice mechanism to turn all that stuff. So you're just talking about really, yeah, you can kind of hear it. That's a pretty nice ratchet when it works. But yeah, and then extra parts left over. But yeah, snapping this stuff off was the trick. That saved me. I don't know if I couldn't get it out the way I got it. I was really going to unhook the air conditioning and just bite the bullet and then have somebody service it, vacuum it down, service it. But just snap them 2 brackets off, and then going back in, I was able to drop it at a different angle and get everything kind of snug back up in there. It's kind of funny how going up you can't get the right angle, but going down wasn't too bad. So that's where we're at. So okay guys, 10-minute video, not too bad. I want to thank everybody for checking my video out. Like and subscribe. Let's see, do the like, thumbs up, like, subscribe. Old Blue Accord, I'll have some more videos. I'll let you know how this works out. I've been tinkering with the van too. It's giving me an excuse to kind of drive the van for maybe on and off for a couple weeks and just really burn the fuel out, burn that old diesel fuel out of it and get some good confidence in it. Once I've got good confidence, it starts up and runs, and that's been a good thing. So kind of know that I'm in good shape with that. And yeah, that's what we got right now. We're gonna fire this baby up, put her outside, and let it run and burp and do all that good stuff. I want to thank y'all, and Old Blue Cord over and out. Have a good one.